Give me that car now. God told me it belongs to me. Yeah, that's what I heard right in the middle of my own driveway. The words hit me like a slap. I hadn't even had my first real sip of coffee yet. And there she was, Teresa Miller, my new neighbor, 40-something, hair, wild eyes, crazed like she'd just seen the burning bush in her living room. She was pointing at my black SUV, and for a second I honestly wondered if this was some sort of suburban hazing ritual, a bad joke. But there wasn't a flicker of humor in her face, just pure twitching conviction. I set my mug down, slow, feeling my old training click into place. Never escalate. Always keep your words measured. Excuse me, I asked, steady as stone. That's mine, she barked, coming closer, waving a stack of papers like the Ten Commandments, except her Bible verses were printed on HOA letterhead. The Lord told me this vehicle is my compensation. You need to hand over the keys right now. Her voice echoed down the street loud enough to rattle every set of blinds in the cul-de-sac. I saw silhouettes shifting behind curtains. Trouble had come to town, and apparently I was the starring villain. Now, I'm no rookie when it comes to tense situations. I watched her flushed cheeks, shaking hands, wedding ring twisted raw from nervous fidgeting. It wasn't that kind of criminal energy. It was desperation, maybe grief, maybe just a deep-seated need to believe the universe owed her something. Ma'am, I said as level as I could, this is my vehicle. She recoiled like I'd cursed her. No, it's not. God sent it to replace the one that killed my husband. Divine justice. And she jabbed a finger so hard it almost left a bruise. You're standing in the way of God's will. Behind me, that SUV just sat there, innocent, quiet, just another boring ride. Civilian plates, no markings, nothing to catch a thief's eye. But to me, it was more than a car. Every number etched into the chassis, every asset tag. Federal property, all of it. It was my cover, my shield, my trap. I should probably back up a sec. Name's Daniel Walker. For the last 2 years, I've been living out here as a regular old government contractor, or so the neighborhood thought. Reality. I'm an undercover FBI agent. 20 years on the job, most of them spent buried in paperwork, fraud, embezzlement, you name it. The dangerous types don't always carry guns. Sometimes it's a briefcase and a printer full of fake invoices. This suburban assignment was supposed to be easy blend and track some dirty contractors funneling government money overseas. My SUV. It was supposed to be camouflage, nothing more. Park it, drive it, never let it stand out. But that morning, with coffee cooling in my hand and Teresa Miller turning my driveway into a tent revival, I knew I was in for something else. See, 6 months earlier, I got transferred here. Brick house, quiet, street neighbors who wave while they water the grass. The kind of place where the weirdest thing that happens is someone not picking up after their dog. I'd convinced myself this would be the easy one. No shootouts, no cartel safe houses, just paperwork and patience. But then Teresa happened. And the wild part. She had no clue who she was really messing with, or what that SUV meant. She just kept on waving those papers inches from my nose, trembling with the force of her conviction. This, she announced, is a legal order, HOA authority. You're in violation, and this car is subject to seizure. She didn't just want my keys, she wanted divine justice, handed down in the form of a 2018 government-issue Ford Explorer. I didn't touch the papers. Rule number 1, never let the other person control the physical space. Ma'am, I said these are neighborhood forms. They don't have anything to do with vehicle ownership. Her lips curled. Don't play dumb. The HOA compensates widows wronged by government negligence. My husband was killed by a federal vehicle. This one's mine now. God said so. Now the irony here, let's just pause for it. I've sat across from cartel lieutenants with murder in their eyes and never flinched, but a grieving HOA Karen with a messiah complex. That was a new one. I watched as Mrs. Davis across the street retired federal sharp as a tack peeked out her window, arms crossed, looking like she'd seen this rodeo before. Maria Lopez, HOA treasurer, was already clutching her purse like it had gold bars inside. I didn't laugh, though. 20 years in the bureau, you learn that desperation wrapped in grief is more dangerous than a loaded weapon. Ma'am, I kept my tone soft. Your HOA doesn't have the power to seize vehicles. That's just not how the law works. She bristled. That's not what God told me. You can't argue logic with faith. I didn't even try. This car, she said, voice low and tight, is my compensation. My husband's blood demands justice. And you jab that finger again are standing in the way. The wind rustled the HOA letterhead, all mixed up with Bible quotes and honestly the worst legal jargon I'd ever seen. But Teresa believed it. And belief is power sometimes. You could see the gold band on her finger twisted thin from all that anxious spinning. She was clinging to the only thing that made sense in her world. I stood my ground. I refused to give you my car. Her face went crimson. She shook, then shrieked so loud you could hear it 3 houses down. You refuse God's will, then you'll face the consequences. Out came her phone, stabbing at the screen with wild energy. Dialing 911 right there. There's a man in my driveway refusing to hand over my compensation vehicle. God told me this car belongs to me. He's blocking divine justice. You ever hear something so wild you nearly laugh out loud just from shock? That was me standing there with cold coffee watching my life turn into the world's weirdest reality show. The dispatcher's voice came on cautious, like she'd heard her share of nutty calls. Are you saying someone's stolen your vehicle? No, God gave it back to me. He's refusing to comply. Now the whole neighborhood was out. Tom Riley, ex-contractor car guy, lived next door, leaned on his porch, taking it all in. Mrs. Davis stayed on her stoop, silent, watching like a judge. Maria. She clung to that purse like a lifeline. Phones were up, neighbors whispering. Teresa was starring in her own little crusade, and she was loving it. Operator, send police immediately. God is watching. I could practically feel the viral video forming. By the time police lights flickered down the street, we had an audience. Officer Parker, rookie but sharp, stepped out trying to figure out if this was a prank, a crime, or just Tuesday. Teresa pounced, shoving her stack of homemade legal documents into his chest. This man is illegally withholding my compensation car. God told me it was mine. The HOA confirmed it. Parker blinked, confusion clear on his face, trying to process the Bible verses taped to bad legal forms. Ma'am, HOAs don't have the authority to seize vehicles. That's not how the law works. Teresa turned on him. Don't deny me, Mark's spirit demands justice. This car represents blood debt. The neighbors shifted. Phones were out streaming live. Comments were rolling. Karen of the year bet. That's government property, plot twist, dude, CIA. Some were laughing, some just hungry for chaos. I kept quiet, letting Teresa dig her own hole. The show got bigger. Teresa held a full-on community justice day. Folding tables, banners, witnesses, a whole circus. She even brought a crowbar ready to seize my SUV by force, with the crowd filming every move. Parker tried to intervene, but Teresa wouldn't hear it. Today is not crime. Today is justice. The live stream soared, tens of thousands watching, comments flying. And right there, crowbar raised, Teresa prepared to make herself infamous. That's when I spoke, voice cutting through the madness. She's committing federal crimes right now? Silence dropped like a hammer. I reached into my jacket, no sudden moves, just steady. Out came the badge. The sun caught the gold. My name is Special Agent Daniel Walker, Federal Bureau of Investigation. A collective gasp. Teresa's crowbar slipped. Her papers fluttered, her world unraveled in real time for 30,000 strangers. No, that can't be. I kept my voice even. This vehicle is federal property. Every bit of damage you did is a felony. Teresa backed away, trembling. You lied. You pretended. I protected my cover. Because 3 years ago I investigated a case tied to your husband. The world stopped. Even the birds went silent. Then Tom Riley, silent, twitchy. Tom stepped up. Teresa, I know where Mark is. She spun on him, wild-eyed. You're lying, but Tom held up his phone. He's alive. In Mexico. New name Marco Valdez. The crowd gasped. Mrs. Davis froze. Maria dropped her purse. The live stream exploded. Teresa collapsed, sobbing as reality crushed her. Mark wouldn't... He loved me. Maria finally spoke up, voice shaking. He didn't just fake his death. He drained the HOA. 15,000 gone. Teresa crumpled, broken. The officer cuffed her, gentle but firm. I've been mourning a ghost, she whispered, destroying my life for a man still breathing. The internet roasted her, memes and all, but I just stood there feeling the weight of it. She was a victim, too, of grief, of lies, of a husband who'd vanished to a sunny new life. Federal agents moved in fast. Mexico nabbed Mark on a visa violation. Turned out his biggest mistake was getting too comfortable. He faced fraud, wire crimes, all of it. Teresa faced time for vandalism and fraud, but the judge showed mercy. Grief is a heavy thing. Still, her name was everywhere, replayed in memes, her pain a punchline. The neighborhood moved on. The Miller house foreclosed. New folks moved and planted flowers where Teresa once staged her crusade. Tom Riley became a consultant on neighborhood paranoia, believe it or not. Mrs. Davis, still the silent guardian, watched over us all. Maria, once paralyzed by guilt, now spoke at fraud prevention seminars. Officer Parker joined the bureau, learned what real circus looks like. And me, new assignment, new cover. I'd walk by Teresa sometimes, head down, riding the city bus, her 15 minutes of viral fame branded forever. Sometimes I'd wonder if she ever thought about Mark scrubbing prison floors for the government he tried to rob. Let me ask you, if you were Tom holding the truth that could save or destroy your neighbor, would you have spoken up? And if you were Teresa, would you have rather lived with the comforting lie or face the ugly truth? Drop a comment below. I want to hear your take. Because stories like this, they're more than wild. HOA drama or federal cases, they're about the choices we make, the lies we live with, and what happens when it all unravels. Live for the world to see. If this story got you thinking, hit that like button, share it with a friend, and stick around, because in this country, truth is always stranger than fiction, and you never know who your neighbors really are.